Welcome back to the Person-Centered Approach seminar. This video is also dedicated to congruence, so it is part number 2. In this video, I will not talk so much about the concept of congruence, but I will try to be congruent. So that's why the title here is Exercise in Congruence. And yes, there is something I've been meaning to share with you, so this is what I'm feeling is really important for the class. So this is me being congruent regarding the class, and I think it is high time we talk about assessment. So to decide our assessment criteria, I have come up with 3 categories. So first, I would like you to literally write down what you think each category means, right? Because obviously I think one way and you probably think slightly differently or completely differently. So please, as you see the category, take some notes. What does that mean to you? Then please decide the percentage for each category. In total, we need to have 100%. So here are the categories. The first one would be participation, attendance. So again, what does that mean to you, and what percentage would you give to this category? The second category is your personal journey, so what you are hopefully doing every week. And for this one, that will be self-assessed. So you will decide how much you get for this part of the grade. So obviously this one, what it means is pretty clear. That's what you're supposed to be doing every week. If this is not clear, please ask me so that we can discuss it again. And so choose the percentage for this category. And the last category is the final reflection. I am thinking that I'd like you to write about 1,000 words to summarize what you've experienced in the seminar and what you've learned from your personal journey. Again, this is what I would like us to do, but if you have a better idea or something that is not better, but just closer to what you want to do for the seminar, again, let me know. So final reflection, what does it mean for you? And most importantly, the percentage. So to summarize, we have participation, attendance. What does it mean to you? How many percent should we give to this category? Then the personal journey, that's your weekly work. How many percent should we give to this? And you will decide that one. And the final reflection, here you see what I mean by it, but what would you want to do if you want to do something else? And yes, again, what's the percentage for this category? So that was me being congruent and being actually just conscious that I need to give you a grade for this class. My second exercise in congruence is connected to my reaction at one of the feedback I read on the student cards. And as you see, the title here is Group versus I. So let me explain. First, the feedback. This is what one of you wrote. I know this is the class for finding out what a person is like, but we tend to talk about groups. It might be human to see groups and think and talk about it. For me, this feedback was very unsettling. It was very unsettling for 2 reasons. First, I was very impressed by how deep the idea is, because I do believe that as human beings, we tend to see and understand people in terms of groups, and it takes a little more work to see the individuals. But the feedback was very unsettling because it also reminded me of my role as a facilitator and that maybe I am not doing my job properly. Indeed, the goal of the class is to help you find out who you are. And I am wondering if maybe talking about groups isn't actually hiding the individuals in the group. What I'm trying to say is, instead, are we talking about groups because we don't want to talk about us? Or is it easier to talk about others than to talk about us? So here, really, I am not saying it is wrong. I'm just wondering and sharing my concern. I'm just being congruent. So groups hide the individuals. Again, this is a question, because if you remember, week 2 during the community meeting, we talked a lot about stereotypes. And what I am worried about, the reason I'm bringing up this topic, is that group talks, so talking about groups, usually generate a lot of stereotypes, in the sense that Americans, Japanese, French, so it's the, they or he or she. And what I would really like to get to is I. So that's why I wrote, how about I? On the other hand, I can totally understand that talking about groups makes it easier to talk about ourselves, right? So maybe it's just a starting point, and with time we'll feel better and we'll be able to talk about ourselves. And there is the very real possibility that actually groups define who we are, belonging to groups or not belonging to them. So again, I am not saying it is a bad thing to talk about group. I just hope that we will get to the point where we also talk about ourselves. And that was the end of my second exercise in congruence. The third one is also connected to feedback from the student cards. And the first one is some of you feel the need for others to talk. Some have expressed the fact that they don't always have the courage to talk. And the last feedback regarding talking was that maybe others are not comfortable to talk. That is why I would like to share my personal experience related to group encounters, and obviously especially my first experience in a group encounter. And it's connected to the first feedback, need for others to talk. Believe me or not, but during my first group encounter, which was about a week long, I didn't talk much. So I didn't talk much, but I listened to others, and I had a very active dialogue within myself. So this inner dialogue, because I was listening to others, was actually very powerful. And it helped me learn a lot about myself. To be specific, because again, I think it's the best way I can share with you what it is to be congruent, it's connected to what I learned about losing someone who is dear to you, when someone close to you dies. And one of the participants in my group talked about losing a close family member. And listening to this participant helped me realize how I dealt with pain. And now I can even put it in the present, because that's what I seem to be doing usually. So how I deal with pain when you lose someone close to you. This topic at the time felt even closer than usual, because my host mother, my American host mother, had just passed away. So what did I realize? Well, thinking specifically of my host mother, I realized that yes, I miss her. Yes, I wish she was still alive. But this, having known her, is helping me live to honor the important lessons that she taught me. And I strongly believe that my American host mother was my first stepping stone, my first step toward the person-centered approach, because she was extremely good at listening and at not passing judgment and at dearly loving who you are. And you'll see this is actually the second concept connected to the person-centered approach. So I realized that yes, there is pain in losing someone, but I don't want to only live with that pain, so I do my best to honor the important lesson that the person who passed taught me. As you can imagine, this inner dialogue, which helped me realize how I dealt with losing someone close, is something very powerful. Being able to understand this was very powerful. And yet I never said anything to the group. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's not because someone is silent in the group that nothing is happening inside of them. But I totally understand that we want to hear from everybody. We want to, usually get to know the people around us. So I understand that in our situation, and back when I was in my first encounter group, that I understand that my silence may have been hard for others. And I have to say that I did think at the end of every single day, remember it lasted about a week, I was thinking every single day, today I didn't contribute anything, meaning I didn't say anything or I didn't share anything. So I did feel bad about not talking, and I think I also realized that I would also benefit from sharing my inner dialogue. Because I think when you share what is happening inside of you, you are going to get other perspectives, right? So people might understand what you're going through differently. They may also share similar experiences, so it's always great to feel like, someone else has felt or has thought the same thing. Or they may actually have different experiences but come to the same understanding or to the same lessons, right? So I think, yes, the inner dialogue is something that is happening within us all the time. But if we can find the courage or the will to share it, I think we can also benefit a lot. So for those of you who feel intimidated by talking to the group, I hope that you can find some courage in what I just explained. And actually, during my second group encounter, 6 months later, I think, I was more active, but I still couldn't say anything when I got angry at someone. And please notice that I underline I, right? It's my reaction towards the person. I am not saying that the person did anything to make me angry. It was just my reaction to his or her words. And also I couldn't say anything when the discussion felt like it wasn't going anywhere. And again, felt to me. Obviously to other people the conversation was going somewhere, so I let it go that way. But I think I should have said something because maybe others were feeling the same way. So again, what I'm trying to say here is that speaking up is not an easy task. And since my third group, I've been doing better. I am better at sharing also the negative emotions, so being angry, for instance, or wondering whether what we're doing is really helpful, right? Because that's what it is in an encounter group for me. Is it's not so much is the conversation going somewhere, but is it really helpful to the person or the people who are especially involved in the conversation. So yes, talking, not talking, this is a tricky situation for the people who want to talk and also for the people who are listening. Last but not least, about having the courage and feeling comfortable to talk, well, my question is really, is there a way to create an environment where everybody has the courage or is comfortable to talk? We've been playing with the size of the group. Next time we meet, we'll make 3 groups instead of 2, and we'll see how that works. So hopefully you can talk to me, because there is no perfect recipe, right? So I need your input. I need to know what it is that works for you. One thing I have experienced is that usually with time, trust builds up, so we feel good sharing about ourselves, so maybe it is just a matter of time too, right? This being said, I do have a question, something for us to discuss in class, so I'd like you to deeply think about it. Would it be helpful to have a scale for need to talk? So let's say we have a scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, and each number represents how much you need to talk. So for instance, 1 would be happy just listening. So if this is how you're feeling at the beginning of the encounter group, then you can maybe have that number on your lap, at your feet, and obviously you could change this whenever, right? So that we would have a better idea whether you're just happy listening or if there's something else happening with you. Maybe you are more number 2, which I describe as I'll talk if something rises in me during the group. So you don't really have to talk, there's nothing special you need to share, but definitely you know that if someone says something or if something comes up inside of you and you'll want to share, then we know that yes, this is it, right? You're not being shy or you're not uncomfortable, you're just listening, and if something comes up, then you'll share. Then you might be more of the number 3. I want to talk, so there's clearly something you want to share with us, but first you kind of need to get in the spirit of the group and you don't mind first listening to others, then you'll talk. Or you might be number 4, clearly you need to get time right away and you want to talk, there is something very important for you to share. I don't know. I've never used this type of scale. I was just wondering, considering the amount of feedback I have on this talking issue, whether this could be helpful. So again, think about it. This is the other point we will discuss as a community when we see each other. All right, I am done with my exercises in congruence. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be congruent, but these were the 3 topics I really needed to tell you about, and hopefully we can have a dialogue about it when we meet. The last part of this video is dedicated to congruence through meditation. As I said in the first video on congruence, this is how I learned to know how I feel and also be able to share that with others. If you haven't read it yet, I would highly recommend that you read the blog and my explanation about what I learned regarding learning about congruence through painful experiences. I wanted to add to what I wrote on the blog that to some extent, I also learned about congruence through a painful situation. I was actually very depressed after my divorce, but learning to know how I feel and being able to express that feeling quickly changed my life for the best. So for me, I think very quickly congruence was something that I felt very positively. And also with time, I realized how important it is to take time off. And I'm going to explain what I mean by this. Right? I just wanted to connect what I wrote in the blog to the video. So yes, I was depressed because of my divorce, but luckily, as I've already shared, I found a wonderful meditation guru. It's a beautiful woman who has a wonderful mind and a great caring towards others. So my meditation guru taught me a very simple, and yes, I have simple but in quotation marks, because really I don't think meditation is ever simple, but the type of meditation she taught me is not complicated. That's what I mean. It's not easy to put into practice, but the basic steps are rather simple. So it starts with doing it twice a day. And in the morning, and this is me calling it that way, it's the exercise is trying to be empty. What I mean by this is that you block thoughts. You start thinking about, for instance, for me it was quite funny, what I'm going to wear today, and it's like, you have time later, Sophie, to decide this. Right now, this is my break. I don't want to think about anything and I don't want to feel anything. I'm taking a break. Then I would start thinking, what am I going to have for breakfast? And again, I had to block these thoughts and say, this is not the right time. I will do this later. And really, it's learning to control your thoughts. And it's, some people call meditation brain yoga, but that's what it is. You're really learning to control your thoughts, like you're learning to control your muscles and your breathing when you're doing yoga. So, and what's wonderful there is that it's not as painful as when you do yoga. It's actually you're giving yourself a break. I don't need to think about all of this now. Right now, I'm on brain vacation. And what is amazing was that for me, when I could be empty, when I could really have a very peaceful and quiet mind, not having all these thoughts coming in, I found something very powerful inside of me. It was actually so overwhelming the first time that I stopped meditating and I opened my eyes and was almost freaked out, scared. Then I realized, oh my God, there is something inside of me. There is literally a strong power inside of me. And this strong power, I actually called it love. I know it may sound cheesy, but it's because when I get to that stage in meditation, I feel truly connected and caring. And for me, that's what I guess love is, being connected and caring towards others. And I want to share this story with you because it's not just being connected and caring towards other people, but when I got to this stage the first time, I was in Enoshima, and the room I was meditating in had a very beautiful view on a beautiful tree. And as I said, the first time I freaked out, so I opened my eyes. But when I opened my eyes and I saw the tree out there, it felt like what I was feeling inside, that huge power, what I call love, went towards the tree. And I felt connected and very caring towards the tree. So yes, I know some of you know I'm very concerned about the environment, and I do all I can to have as little impact as I can on the environment. But I really think it wasn't my mind doing it at this time. It was really coming from this quiet place inside that I had reached through meditation. You may wonder, what does this have to do with congruence? And you're right, because so far I've just told you that for me, being empty helped me find my inner power. Well, emptiness and quiet also helped me understand my emotion at the root. What I mean by this is that I've come to realize that sometimes I think that I'm feeling one way because of that, But when I go in meditation mode and I kind of remove all the crazy thoughts, or as we were talking in my small group, all the layers, I come down to something more fundamental, more real, that truly explains the feelings, so helps me really understand it and deal with it. Let me give you an example. So yes, as I said, I was depressed after the divorce, and I felt sad to have divorced, right? Not to be with the person I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I was sad to be alone. But actually, through meditation, I came to realize that the sadness wasn't so much about having divorced or being alone. It was that I had lived for the other person, so my husband, and please let me say this right away, happily so, right? I like making others' lives beautiful. This is something that I truly enjoy. But the problem was that I wasn't properly caring for myself. So through meditation, I understood it wasn't about loneliness, it wasn't about divorce, so maybe some people could say also failure of keeping my couple together. But I realized that I was sad to not have properly taken care of myself. And that is a very powerful understanding. So I realized that what I need to do is care for others, because this is a huge part of who I am, and myself. So care also for myself. The balance is very important. So once I understood this, I didn't feel sad anymore. I just realized that I had been foolish not taking care of myself too. And just to show you how powerful understanding the root of your emotion is, I also had a thought that made me extremely aware of the pain I could cause to others, which is something I don't want to do. But again, I am not sure if this is what my ex-husband felt, right? I never asked him. But just for me, being able to think about it gave me even more motivation to keep a balance between caring for others and caring for myself. So the thought was, if I only care for others, it might make them feel responsible for my happiness. And that is a very big responsibility. And strangely, this is not what I want at all. I don't want people to feel responsible for my happiness, and I don't need people to feel responsible for my happiness. So that gave me an extra motivation to keep the balance between caring for others and caring for myself. So this is where meditation really helped me be congruent, understand how I feel, and take that feeling to the bottom, to its origin, and truly understand it, and then work with it. So yes, meditation helped me with congruence, because it helped me reach a state where my head is empty of all the crazy and sometimes not so important thoughts that we may have. And then the evening part of the meditation, which is called cleaning, that's not just me calling it that, also was very helpful. Basically, the cleaning means that this time, instead of blocking your thoughts or your emotions, you actually let the thoughts and emotions go through. You are aware they are there, but you let them go. And for me, the best way to describe this is the image of a wave, right? So you're at the ocean and the wave comes but goes. But then the thought or the emotion might come back like a wave again and again and again. But each time you let it go. And strangely, at some point, it stops coming back. Maybe it come back another day, but on the spot usually it stops coming back. And sometimes it's gone the first time, right? You let it go and it's like, oh, okay. So that feeling of cleanliness and freshness also for me is the image of a wave, right? When a wave washes on the beach, it cleans everything and it makes everything fresh. So this feeling of letting go, of cleaning, of freshness, literally helped me get rid of emotions and thoughts I just didn't need. They were just cluttering my brain, and they were not letting me see through the deeper emotion, the deeper thoughts that really mattered. So that process of cleaning literally cleaned my brain of things that I didn't need. And that's it. That's the steps. The morning meditation, trying to reach a state where you're empty. The evening meditation, where you're cleaning your thoughts and emotions. And there is one more rule, which is to not have your head lean against a wall or a pillow, because you will fall asleep. And just keep in mind, right, when you're meditating, you're in a state that is actually very close to sleep, in the sense of how relaxed your body becomes usually, but your mind is not sleeping. But if you have your head leaning against a wall or a pillow, there's a good chance you're going to fall asleep, and so not really benefit from the meditation. In terms of practicality, how much time do I do this? Well, I started with 15 to 20 minutes. So 15 to 20 minutes in the morning, and then 15 to 20 minutes in the evening. And by now I do 30 minutes. I wish I could do longer, but I do have to go to work, and anything longer than 30 minutes just takes too much time in my schedule. Luckily, there are meditation retreats, and yes, when I'm on vacation, I try to make more time for meditation. So this is definitely something I describe as my, that capital letters, my time of quiet. And it's what I was telling you. I realized also that I never became obsessed with SNS, and actually don't even have a smartphone for that reason, because I have enjoyed so much taking time off from the craziness of everyday life. And I realized how toxic SNS were, at least for me. And yes, I am also worried about others. When I see how focused, and here I am not using it in a positive way, maybe I should have written obsessed, some people are with their cell phone, I really wonder about the impact on our mental health. So for me, yes, meditation is a great cure for cell phones addiction, and obviously for helping you understand better what you're feeling, so being congruent. So to summarize this video, first I shared what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the assessment criteria for this course, and also the fact that I would like you to talk about yourself instead of groups or making generalizations. I also wanted to share about the need for everybody to talk. Is there a real need? Yes, no. I would say depends. I just want us to be aware of what others are feeling, and especially if you want to talk but feel that you cannot, we need to find a way to do this. So that's why I'd like us to discuss the scale in our groups. And lastly, I shared about learning to know how I feel through meditation. If you want to try meditation as a group, please let me know. If not in class, we could take a little bit of time after class, because we are on lunch break, and I'm more than happy to spend 10-15 minutes just being there with you and trying to be empty or cleaning, if you'd rather try that one. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.